really wasn't a question. It was just like, who's right? The chart of the guy on CNBC. Good morning, everybody. I don't know about all of you, but I'm so sick of hearing soft landing, consumer this, inflation that, and now they're wavering back to inflation is increasing, maybe not so much, this and that. Oh, we're going to have a recession. But as we commented yesterday, the charts are saying there's indecision and uncertainty. But with all the news that we could be looking at or listening to, the charts display the reality of what's going on. Right. So regardless of who it is, Goldman Sachs, some billion-dollar hedge fund, whatever the charts tell us, for the most part, well, get a thing out here, a drawing thing. They're saying for the most part, they're bullish, but they really don't know about the moment. And what we've been talking about for weeks was this chart coming down here and beginning to bottom. And, this bullish price action that happened since the end of last year becomes into question. And so as this begins to move up, and one of our discussion points this week was, what's going to happen when it gets here, and everything else that is within trading ranges, what's going to happen. And just like us, whether it's a billion-dollar hedge fund, they're waiting to see what's going to happen or deciphering all this information to make some decision. And so that's where we're at. And we'll continue to be that until things go one way or another. The dollar is consolidating under this resistance. Is it going to go back down here? Will it break? Will it go up above here? More indecision. So as this wavers a little bit, you can see the little blip up in gold, but it's still, obviously broken. We got oil in a trading range indecision. And these yield curves, you can see, got a little more bearish over the last few days. Actually been kind of inching down here, and the market's like, I don't care. I don't care. And now you hear them starting to talk about, oh, we're going to have some kind of recession, and becoming more convinced, where the bond market was saying there's going to be a recession. Nobody knows how much. I heard them say, this is interesting. I heard them on the news before. They saying people have $1 trillion in savings accounts that they're figuring people will spend, which most of the time, most people don't have any money. You always hear people saying, oh, the majority of people in this country couldn't last a few weeks, let alone a month, with the savings that they have. Anyway, big picture is, we got a bigger trading range now. We're closer to the top of the trading range. Things are going sideways, and that's the way it is. And so, line chart, you can see lower highs, which not a bad pattern within an uptrend like this, to have lower highs and lower lows. Actually, I was chatting to Dan before. I would really like to see a decline that would come down to 4,000, where this little consolidation is for a buy setup. That would be much more preferable, because even if you stay in the trading range, assuming we get the proper pattern down here, at least the upside potential is pretty good, the reward to risk. Whereas right now, most things, the reward to risk sucks. So, and that's been the theme that we've been talking about, the end of last week and this week, is that, there's these indecisive patterns, and I've been through it before more than once. And at some point it's going to resolve itself. But most of the time, historically, it certainly doesn't resolve itself before frustrating the hell out of the majority. So sharing that. So, we've been talking about these patterns of overlapping bars and tails. You can see the uptrend and now a smaller trading range within a bigger trading range. And we just wait to see some pattern that is, I don't know. We like to use the word no-brainer, and there's none of this is, but defining a no-brainer, a big gap down, a reversal, coming down to support, a breakdown failure, not overlapping bars and tails. This is indecision. And I said yesterday, when we see indecision in a smaller time frame, we look to a higher time frame to condense the information and see if things clear. And what we do see is a bottoming pattern with prices at the top of the range at that pivot, and there's no breakdown failures. There's no gap down and reversals. It's just consolidating up there. And what we like to see with a pattern like this is an attempt to break lower, and it comes back up again, kind of a flush out of those that are holding up here looking for them, and that kind of like relieves the pressure. Right now with this indecision, breakouts in a situation like this have a higher tendency to fail because they were preceded by indecision. Yeah. All right. S&Ps, same story. This got rejected moving up, got rejected trying to move down, and just going nowhere. Right, here's the initial breakout there, got knocked back down, break down, it popped back up again. Indecision. SPX, things are getting tighter. Look, as the ranges tighten up, and a few days ago up here, the day-to-day ranges were closer to 80 points. Now they're under 50 points, and the spread ranges are getting closer together. So this one I got 60. So let's just put it around, 50 points, give or take. So the idea here, is what the way I look at this is, whatever the average range is day to day to do a credit spread, as a starting point, you'd like to be on the other side of that range. And of course, on the other side of that range, you'd like to have areas of what I call lines of defense. And so here, we've got these pivots. Over here, we really don't have much of anything. And then go and look at the premiums that's there and see what's available, and of course what's happening as far as things, where things are moving. So I like to go back to spiders and see where they're at on the chart, so I can see it's kind of in the lower part of this bar from yesterday. Another inside day, nothing going on there, so right here. So where's my cursor? And Jake is saying 4180, which, okay, 4180 is, I think, is good. I mean, you can hear the hesitancy in my voice because I don't think anything is a no-brainer here, because that could be easily within striking distance. But at least, where prices are now, you can see my cursor, it's got to get through 4160, obviously. Pivot high, pivot high, pivot high. Multiple lines of defense. Whereas going down here, and last I looked, 40, 40.50. And if things drop, you'd want to be below that 40.50. 40.50, is down here. Well, you got a pivot here and a pivot here. So with this indecision that's been going on, an iron condor is a thought as I'm looking at this, right? 40.45, 40.45. Yeah. And you got a pivot down here. So 40.45. So it's 50 cents by 60 cents. And this is where we were, like, I don't know how long, it was over a year ago or so, where we had to look at premium like that. And you say, well, how could you do a spread? Because most people look at spreads and think, oh, I got to do 5 wide, 10 wide. Well, not with SPX. The idea is you can get so far away. The perception is it's a no-brainer, and you can go 20 wide, maybe more than 20 wide. And it's where you can get enough premium. So 0 DTE, premium on SPX, that's more of the thought process there. McGraw's telling me 40.65 is a big gamma strike. JP Morgan March hedge. Okay. So there's some good information. And look, 40, it's at this pivot. Now, just looking at the charts, regardless of, big gamma hedge, whatever, JP Morgan, yada, 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 it breaks below that level. Looking to the left, it's coming down to this level. It's been chopping around. So again, looking to the left, looking at the charts, looking at the indecision, it breaks through some support. The next part of the thought process is, where will buyers want to step up? Down here. All right. So the next level where there's buyers showed up before is where we perceive they'll show up again. And this would still be well above major support. And from a short to intermediate term bias, I would prefer this come down here and form some kind of a reversal, which isn't going to happen, I don't think, this week. Well, today's Wednesday. I suppose it could. But going into next week, that would be a good place for longs over the next several days. So we'll see what plays out. All right. Yeah, so McGraw's telling me if it breaks from a gamma perspective. So those of you that were in the presentation that I did with McGraw last week, and we talked about gamma. And so that whole terminology kind of throws me off. It's like, from a gamma perspective, you have to understand deeper than just the word of gamma. And just the short response to that is that from a gamma perspective, if it breaks through that, there is the potential for the speed of prices to increase because of the hedging that goes on there. Right? So just knowing the word for me was confusing. Understanding the hedging and what market makers do was so much more enlightening to understand the mechanics of why there's the potential gamma, meaning the potential for prices to increase dramatically in one direction. So I always break things down into an understanding of the mechanics of what happens and why. Right? Support, resistance, looking to the left, price, voids, trends, relative strength, weakness, all of those things. So this is going nowhere. YM going nowhere. Just a disgusting chart. Doing nothing. The Russell, right? I would love this down here, because this is the typical pattern historically that sets up a good long, where you've got this kind of strength, got this semi-climactic move to the upside, right? Vertical move to the upside. It comes down to minor support. It fails, lower high, lower low into major support. And that is where it sets up a better reward to risk. Whereas this kind of setup typically doesn't work out that well. Not unless the market is just getting started, meaning it's had a correction. So if this was happening down here, odds are it would work. And this happening down here would historically line up with internals being like down here, right? Not this. So we don't have a good scenario right now for thinking major moves, right? All right. This is all part of, what we call master trader technical strategies and techno fundamentals. And, you get deeper into that, into courses, of course. Bitcoin, right, popping up a little bit off of the support, coming down here to the gap fill, maybe eventually. This kind of pattern historically sets up an M top. You don't want buyers setting up aggressively to push it back to resistance when it's so close to it. We already looked at the dollar and interest rates, so I'm not going to go over that again. And we know transports have been holding up pretty well, but it's the same pattern. Make that lower high, lower low into a significant support area, and that's going to be much better opportunity. So there we have it. All yours, Dan.
Oh, you're early on me. Good morning. Hope everyone had a nice Valentine's Day night. So, let's see. So we did two earnings trades yesterday. Ring RNG shorted way out of the money puts. That's up, looking great. Oh, mine was great. We took the boat to one of my favorite seafood restaurants. So Ring, I said bid a nickel, just take our money, but I like this long term also. Look at that beautiful bottom on a weekly. Look at this thing, used to be $450. This is what I call a core long. And I was just waiting for the daily to give me my trigger. It's sloppy, but with the appropriate stop, this is where to do it. And then we did Upstart, down a lot on support, reversal, on volume. We did the way out of the money. I did multiple ones, 13, 12, 11 and a half. So I'm bidding a penny or two, depending on what strike it is. So those look great. SE short. Yeah, kind of a head and shoulders with a smaller right shoulder. Yeah, that looks fine for a short watch. UUP. Yeah, big old bottoming pattern. Sure. Yeah. Nice. Look at that. Nice buy setup on the monthly, even. Deep retracements. You don't expect a new high. Wow, Alex, look at the ADI. This was one I just got caught at 4 p.m. without finishing my earnings trades, but I really wanted to do a directional into earnings on this. That's a very bullish consolidation right there. You had this breakout, you had the retest, you had bullish 100% consolidation. This is what I call a no-brainer breakout right there. You know how we say all the time, you don't buy from the bottom of the range to the top. Take a picture of that. That is a beautiful breakout. You got today, we're at MT Live, we're talking about moving averages. This would be a great example for today's course. I mean, we have plenty of examples, but beautiful. You got flat to rising here, you got bullish price action, you got a flat 20 into a rising 50. I love it. Actually, let's start up here. Earnings. All right, Airbnb was last night. It's gapping up $10. I saw CNBC saying it was their first profit ever. But that when something gaps up that big, it's a bullish, it's bullish weekly. Another big old bottoming pattern, but I would be more inclined 30-minute low call spread for Friday. Today's Wednesday. But it's worth watching on a pullback. SU sloppy. I'm gonna delete you. Devon down $5. Bearish gap. That's a short on a bounce and also a call spread idea. And it's up, pulling in, filling the gap. No interest. Akamai. Nasty gap, but the gap's too big for me. That's a nasty gap. I think I was considering a condor on this yesterday, the 82s and the 94s. So that one would have gone against me on the put spread had I done it. GoDaddy 79, not very liquid, but if it is opening down here, that's a 30-minute low. Day trade short plus call spread. SCI, I can't tell where you're opening, but it's a buy setup and turn. Texas, $37. 30-minute low. I mean, I'd throw a 30-minute low out just as a starting point, but if it's tier 1, you just got to put it in a 5-minute chart and see how it sets up. But that's a short idea and also a call spread idea. $81. Same with this. It's a gap and snap on the 15, so it's not an ideal entry. Instead, you want to bounce in a sell setup in the 15-minute chart. ABC, no gap. GXO 52. It's a big M top with a new high plus. So it's a short idea, call spread idea. Trip getting a nice bounce here with the leisure sector, just has been ripping the last few weeks. Jets, cruise ships, hotels. Look at Marriott had earnings yesterday. I said with this consolidation that we could trade it up or down. And you can obviously see here, it got concluded to the upside. This is a chart that just gives me a headache looking at all these overlapping bars. So you're going. HE, no gap. This is one I'd trade either way. It'd be a shock over yesterday's high. It'd be a breakdown, kind of what we call a 4-bar turn. This gapping down a little bit. Lithium, maybe 30-minute low. Yeah, it's just what I call a churner. It's just red bars ignored. You got Hyatt. Hey, Hyatt looks better. For a new trade, this will be an ideal 1, 2, 3 if we get it. Yeah, I'm just going to put him right where these X's are. But yeah, we can check out the hotel sector. NMIH, if it opens flat, then 30-minute high, I like. Mercy, kind of light volume, sloppy buy setup. I think we can find better. Kirk blasting off here, 1345. That's a big bottoming pattern. We can watch it on a pullback. Wire gapping up a little bit. I just don't like them far from the 20 and 20 far from the 50, but that was a nice bullish move there. BL opening flat, no interest. Where did I leave off? There's our meeting. Here we go. Kraft Heinz opening flat, no pattern to me. Bib is a bio. I don't like all the overlapping bars, but over yesterday's high would be a put spread. Gold looks like it's slowly churning lower with the dollar up. TTD $58. Gap is excessive, but nice daily, weekly, monthly. Let's watch that on a pullback. MLM will come back. Roblex, nice igniting, big old pro gap here, gapping way the heck up here. We need a pullback. Waters, trading range, don't like the overlapping bars. Wob, same. ICL. I see a couple prints down here at 750. I don't know, there's no, I don't like the way it trades. Almost looks like an ADR. This was a bull flag. You know, here next Wednesday, we're going to be talking about classical patterns, and that's a bull flag right there. Flagpole, 30-degree counter trend. You know, I typed earlier that look at the Qs. The Qs and IWM are also bull flags. IWM not as much because it's deeper here. But the Qs are bull flag. So that's OC. Well, it's up 3 bars, but it's bullish. Daily, weekly, monthly. LAD 263, bearish gap, day trade short. Let's see how it sets up. I have Ring in my other computer, so let me put LAD here. This shop put spread idea, gapping up from a buy setup. GNRC. Hey, Alex, remember yesterday? This also was one of my favorite looking directionals. Gapping up. So let's watch that on a pullback. I don't know if Curto was earnings or if this is a bump. No, it's not earnings, 228, if this is accurate. So when I see a gap like that, my first guess is it's a bio. And it's getting whacked on news. Futu, hey, that's not bad. Gapping up and giving us a buy setup. I'll put that in a window for day trade. It's Futu China. I forget. CPG Thomas. It's gapping down though into yesterday's range, so I don't know what to do with that. Raul on YouTube asking about Hara. Yeah, gapping up from a buy setup, sure. Yeah, I'd say 30-minute high or put it in a 5-minute window, see how it sets up. I'll put it on my other computer. There's our upstart. We already know about. Ring, we know about. So yeah, those are going to be nice profits at the open. I already, when I'm bidding to get out on things like that, I put my bid in pre-market. But you got to get filled or wait for spreads to tighten on a particular earnings. All right, there's our shop I like. CLSK, I saw a little bit of interest in some of these battery charging stocks. I think that's clean spark. All right, see, I'm getting filled on my bids already on those gappers. Greg, AIG alarm. All right, POWW is getting whacked. AIG alarm. All right, so I'm out of my 2 earnings trades. I got filled on my bids. Rob, I would say All right, yeah, Guild, low alarm, Alex. I would say 25. Be my guess. Oh, Greg, Greg, I was gonna put AIG in the weekend letter, but it has earnings after the bill. That's why. I was just gonna post it right now. I just saw the earnings date. So that is the
Perfect setup.
I know, I was gonna put it in, like I said. So day trade you all, that could be okay. Actually, I only got filled on Upstart. I did not get filled on Ring. Wow, I'm surprised they're still holding. Unless I'm looking at yesterday's prices. This makes these have to be yesterday's prices, yeah. Because they're way too high for being so far away. All right, Upstart, I'm out there. BKR. Oh, Alex, I see, Alex, here's an example where you don't like my tight stops and management, so this and that. I considered this one like a little dog bite. And on yesterday's bounce, I got us out break even on BKR. Snow here from yesterday looking fantastic. That would have been a beautiful midday or late day re-entry as a long. All right, this lad that I mentioned as a short, it just looks spready. Lithium Motors.